Hong Kong, 1993. A chilling tale was about to unfold, one that would expose the depravity lurking beneath the city's gleaming facade. This was the year a twisted director, a man named Han Yang-fong, preyed on innocent young women, luring them into his company under the guise of employment, only to subject them to his dark desires. His method was insidious. He'd drug his victims with anesthetics, rendering them unconscious before committing his heinous acts. But his depravity didn't stop there. He meticulously filmed these horrific encounters, not just as macabre souvenirs, but as tools of coercion, using the videos to blackmail and force his victims into continued servitude. This reign of terror remained hidden, shrouded in secrecy, until one tragic night when an overdose claimed the life of one of his victims. It was the evening of July 24, 1993, when the Sha Tin police received a frantic call from Prince of Wales Hospital. A young woman, identified as Louis Ling, 21, was fighting for her life, in an unusual coma, with chemical burns marring her face. She had been rushed to the hospital by staff from the Royal Park Hotel. Accompanying her were Han Yang-fong, 32, her director, and Huang Yanbin, 28, a manager from the real estate company where Yi-ling worked. Investigators scoured Yi-ling's hotel room, uncovering a sinister array of items: a towel soaked in chloroform, a bottle of perfume, 2 bottles of whiskey, one half empty, and 2 plastic bottles used to store chloroform. Chloroform, a colorless liquid, a potent anesthetic, was also a deadly poison, capable of inducing death by affecting the central nervous system. Under interrogation, Han Yang-fong spun a tale. He claimed to have rented 2 connecting rooms at the hotel to celebrate his lover Huang Yanbin's birthday. Yi-ling, he insisted, was simply an invited guest. He described a quiet evening, a deserted establishment, and his own fatigue leading him to sleep in one room while Bin and Yi-ling chatted in the other. Later, he claimed, Bin joined him for intimacy before returning to the other room. Around 7 p.m., Bin awoke him, announcing that Yi-ling had inhaled chloroform and was unconscious. Together, they frantically alerted hotel staff. Fong maintained his innocence, claiming no knowledge of how it happened. Bin, however, offered a different narrative. She painted a picture of a despondent Yi-ling, upset about exorbitant university fees that her summer job couldn't cover. Yi-ling, Bin recounted, was also facing family disapproval for her part-time work and troubles with her boyfriend, leading her to seek solace in alcohol. According to Bin, Yi-ling had only 1 glass of whiskey before instantly becoming intoxicated. Then, Bin claimed, Yi-ling discovered the chloroform, which she had supposedly bought for cleaning purposes at the company. She then mixed it with perfume and applied it to a towel, declaring it would create a fragrant sensation. Bin, though she tried, refused to use it and eventually drifted off to sleep while watching TV on the sofa. Upon waking, Bin found Yi-ling comatose on the bed and immediately alerted Fong. Despite resuscitative efforts, Yi-ling remained unresponsive. They then called hotel staff for assistance. Yi-ling's family, however, disputed Bin's story. They revealed that Yi-ling had messaged them, stating she was going to the hotel for a birthday celebration with a colleague. Her family had expressed concern about her staying in a hotel alone, but Yi-ling insisted she couldn't cancel. They vehemently denied that Yi-ling would willingly inhale chloroform after drinking, especially since she had never consumed alcohol before. The police, sifting through the conflicting testimonies, found glaring inconsistencies. For one, July 24th was not Bin's birthday. Furthermore, medical reports contradicted Bin's account. If Yi-ling had merely covered her face with a chloroform-soaked towel, she wouldn't have inhaled such a high concentration. The burns on Yi-ling's face, the doctors confirmed, indicated that the chemical-laced towel had been pressed down forcefully. Suspicion immediately fell upon Fong and Bin. On July 25, 1993, the police interrogated Fong and Bin separately. Fong, Clinging to his initial story, hastily accused Bin of sexually assaulting Yiling. Bin, however, couldn't explain her lie about the birthday. Cornered, she confessed, but her confession was tainted with fear. She claimed Fong had blackmailed her with videos of their sexual encounters, forcing her to obey his every command. She further revealed that Fong was the one who bought the chloroform. Bin's chilling tale began after her divorce in 1991, leaving her a single mother to a 3-year-old son. To make ends meet, she took a sales job at Fong's real estate company. Soon after, Fong invited her to view a property, only to drug and rape her. He filmed the entire ordeal, threatening to release the video if she dared to report him. Terrified, Bin resigned, too afraid to speak out. In early 1992, financial hardship struck again. Bin desperately needed 50,000 Hong Kong dollars. She called Fong, who readily agreed to help, arranging a meeting at a private apartment. There, Fong coerced her into performing perverse sexual acts in exchange for the loan. With no other option, Bin complied, and once again, Fong filmed everything. Following this, Fong demanded Bin return to work at the real estate company, deducting the debt from her monthly salary. From then on, Fong continued to exploit Bin, paying her 5,000 Hong Kong dollars for each encounter. Desperate to repay her debt, Bin yielded to his every demand. Gradually, Fong began to treat Bin as his mistress, eventually promoting her to manager. This twisted arrangement allowed Bin to clear her debt quickly, but she remained trapped in his clutches. Fong, a married man with a family, meticulously concealed his deviant sexual appetites. Bin admitted that she had become his accomplice, helping him ensnare women through drugging and sexual assault, filming their degradation to ensure their silence. Yiling, tragically, was their latest target. Yiling had first worked at Fong's real estate company as a summer intern in 1992, introduced by friends. In the summer of 1993, Fong called her, offering her a monthly salary of 5,500 Hong Kong dollars to return to work. She began on July 10, 1993. Soon after, Fong propositioned Bin, offering her 10,000 Hong Kong dollars if she helped him acquire Yiling. On July 24, Bin lured Yiling to the hotel under the pretense of a birthday celebration, claiming she had booked a room for a party with friends. Yiling, unsuspecting, readily agreed. That afternoon, after work, Bin and Yiling arrived at the Royal Park Hotel. Fong had already booked 2 connecting rooms and had been waiting in the adjacent room since early morning. When Yiling noticed Bin's car parked outside, she asked, and Bin explained that others would arrive around 11 p.m. for a group party at midnight. To facilitate Fong's scheme, Bin encouraged Yiling to have a drink. Though initially hesitant, Yiling eventually relented and consumed a full glass of wine under Bin's persuasion. Seeing Yiling succumb to the alcohol, Bin used the internal phone to summon Fong. Just as Fong entered, setting up his recording equipment and preparing to disrobe Yiling, she unexpectedly stirred. Bin, in a swift, horrifying move, covered Yiling's nose and mouth, applying the chloroform Fong had prepared. Fong, fearing Yiling might fully awaken, left to purchase 2 more bottles of chloroform as a precaution. Around 5 p.m., Yiling began to regain consciousness for a longer period than anticipated. Bin, relentlessly, administered more chloroform, forcing Yiling back into unconsciousness. By 6 p.m., Fong had packed his equipment and retreated to the adjoining room. As Bin wiped Yiling with a wet towel, she made a horrifying discovery: Yiling had stopped breathing. Panicked, Bin immediately alerted Fong. Fong, in a frenzy, attempted CPR and external cardiac massage. Yiling's breathing became shallow, but she remained unconscious. Bin urged Fong to take Yiling to the hospital, but he refused, terrified of police investigation. When Bin warned him that Yiling might die without immediate medical attention, Fong proposed they both leave the hotel, waiting for staff to discover Yi-Ling before she was taken to the hospital. However, the hotel's tight security surveillance would surely expose them. Realizing this, Fong quickly concocted a plan to fabricate a story with Bin. He even promised her 500,000 Hong Kong dollars if she took full responsibility. Bin agreed, and moments later, she alerted hotel staff about an unconscious person in the room, demanding an ambulance. Then, to avoid suspicion, they drove to the hospital. Fong also called Yi-Ling's family, reciting his pre-rehearsed narrative. When confronted with Fong's confession, Bin admitted to sexually harassing Yi-Ling and filming some videos, but vehemently denied raping her. Regarding the videos Bin had filmed, Fong brazenly claimed, "She borrowed money from me but had nothing to offer as collateral, so she voluntarily recorded the videos." At Fong's residence, police unearthed 29 video cassettes containing violent and sexual content. Fong was the primary figure in all of them. The victims were various women, all in a state of unconsciousness. Disturbingly, one tape depicted Fong assaulting a young boy. Police suspected Fong was involved in numerous other rape cases. On the afternoon of July 26, 1993, Yi-Ling succumbed to her injuries in the intensive care unit. The cause of death was determined to be acute chloroform poisoning, leading to a toxic reaction. Following this tragic revelation, Fong and Bin were officially arrested on murder charges. During their trial on August 11, 1994, both defendants pleaded not guilty to murder, instead admitting to manslaughter. Bin's lawyer argued that she was not the mastermind, but a victim herself, coerced and threatened by Fong into complicity. Fong's lawyer, in turn, claimed his client had no intention of rape, only a desire for sexual intercourse and sexually harassing the victim while she was unconscious. On August 16, Fong and Bin were convicted of manslaughter, receiving sentences of 8.5 years and 7 years, respectively. On August 30, Fong was also tried for the unlawful detention of a young boy, receiving an additional sentence of 2 years and 9 months, which was not cumulative with his current sentence. However, justice demanded more. On November 9, 1994, the Court of Appeal increased their sentences. Fong's sentence was extended to 15 years, while Bin received 12 years. This harrowing case was later immortalized on screen in the 1994 Hong Kong film, The Sweet Scent of Death. This case serves as a stark reminder of the hidden darkness that can exist within society. One can never truly know who harbors such twisted desires. What's even more disturbing is how a woman, Bin, became an unwitting accomplice in this monster's reign of terror. Bin could have stopped Fong's crimes, but her cowardice, her fear of exposure, and her avarice, led her to assist him, thereby escalating his horrific acts. The sentences they received were undoubtedly just. And so, this chilling chapter concludes.